rap. Try to quit the game, had a hard time after. Try to hide the pain, so disregard my laughter. Story of my life, these are my chapters. Had a good childhood, why would I lie? I never started from the bottom, always got him if I tried. I always kept my head in the game. I was ready for whatever, hope for the better whenever it came. The story of my life amazing, far from basic. In a nutshell, it's all about I like LASIK. Surgery never lacked common courtesy. It's like saying don't hurry, but it's an emergency. It don't make sense at all. You strapped, you better be Picasso if you go attempt to draw. You know the roles change when your back's against the wall. You know when karma hits you up, you better answer the call. The story of my life, heard it once, heard it 1,000 times. Tried my best to do right, but it always amounts to crime. It's the story of my life and my music. It's the story of my life, and I'm sticking to it. The story of my life, heard it once, heard it 1,000 times. Tried my best to do right, but it always amounts to crime. It's the story of my life and my music. It's the story of my life, and I'm sticking to it.
If loving you is wrong, I don't wanna be right. That's the story of my life, all the struggle and strife. Though they stab you in your back and they smile in your face, I pulled a knife about my back and add a smile to your face. The story of my life, why reality's so fake. They want the cake and eat it too, I'm okay with just a plate. The weight up on my shoulders, got enough for in shape. Can't remember no phone number sitting in intake. The story of my life, I was taught to embrace it. All family, fuck friends, I don't need no replacements. My blood pressure up, out of meds till the day shift. So I smoke another blunt as I scroll through my playlist. I would love to have a drink, give my wife when it's safe shit. But that's the story of my life, different toilet, same shit. Try my best to do right, but it always amounts to crime. If I heard the shit once, I heard the shit 1,000 times.
The story of my life, heard it once, heard it 1,000 times. Tried my best to do right, but it always amounts to crime. It's the story of my life and my music. It's the story of my life, and I'm sticking to it. The story of my life, heard it once, heard it 1,000 times. Tried my best to do right, but it always amounts to crime. It's the story of my life and my music. It's the story of my life, and I'm sticking to it.
Alcoholic with broken promises, that's the story of my life. Drink cases, then caught cases, man, the story of my life. I done got a flat, then walked it off just to hop back on track, the story of my life. Living at times when somebody throws some salt, you gotta hit them with the pepper. I done did way too much for me to put it on record.
It's been a rough road, but I'm here through it all. Taking penitentiary chances, just attempting to ball. My mama taught me at a young age, never be no punk. So if the funk kicks off, I'll be the first to done. I ain't looking for no handouts, I ain't asking for a damn thing. Close my eyes and I woke up to this bad dream. Done some time, Lord knows my mama tried. Empty promises and feelings bottled up inside. Scratch a few lines on this pad before I live it. It's freedom of expression, this is more than just music. My life, my story, fuck the feedback. And if I said this shit, I done it, believe that. Been around the block, more than a few times. Got lessons and suggestions for more than a few crimes. This shit cuts deeper than this music, like a knife wound. The story of my life, heck, spit it to that tight
The
tune.
story of my life, heard it once, heard it 1,000 times. Tried my best to do right, but it always amounts to crime. It's the story of my life and my music. It's the story of my life, and I'm sticking to it. The story of my life, heard it once, heard it 1,000 times. Tried my best to do right, but it always amounts to crime. It's the story of my life and my music. It's the story of my life, and I'm sticking to it.
I don't know when I've seen a fighter more visibly ecstatic to be in the ring for a big event than Paul Williams, who was grinning openly through all of the pre-fight pageantry and who starts off at a very fast pace against Antonio Margarito. Margarito hasn't thrown a punch yet. Williams is already into double figures.
Margarito is blocking most of those punches.
Neither guy tries to land at an exceptionally high percentage. Both try to just keep throwing. Margarito, in what was regarded as an off-form performance in his last fight against Joshua Clottey, broke a welterweight record by throwing 1,500-plus punches in 12 rounds. There you see him chasing Williams around the ring for the opportunity to get off a couple more. Margarito has begun to go to the body early. Williams' tall, lanky form may offer body angles to Margarito, who's a pretty devoted body puncher, particularly with the left hook.
Williams seems to be poised in the ring with a title holder on the title holder's home turf. Doesn't seem to be flustered at all. Seems calm, professional.
And when Williams landed a chopping left hand across the top, Margarito grinned at him.
A good left hand by Williams that landed right on the chin.
He's getting a lot of punches off here in the first round, and Margarito seems just a bit taken back by the enormous activity level that Williams is producing. Paul Williams has been saying for weeks, I sparred with him 3 years ago. I got the better of him in sparring. I cut him. I hurt him to the body. They had to make me go home. Margarito says, what is he talking about? He was just another guy. It was a sparring session like any other.
Oh, let him go. Step back.
Big right hook by Paul Williams.
One thing that Williams seems to do intuitively is not throw every punch at the same velocity. Sometimes he lightens up, then he throws something heavier. That's a good sign for his young professional career.
If either fighter has presented something of a puzzle in round one to the other, it would certainly appear that Williams, with his range and his volume of punches, has thrown Margarito for a little bit of a loop. We'll see what adjustments.
You're doing good, brother. Okay?
All right, let's go, let's go.
Do the same thing, bro.
They were all smiles in Paul Williams' corner between rounds. Larry, you made a great point before the fight. Two guys who average 100 punches per round. Doesn't seem likely that both of them can get off 100 punches per round. In round one, Williams threw 114 punches, landed 21. Margarito threw only 42 punches, landing only 4. Now, he has sometimes started more slowly in the past, but that's a markedly slow start against Williams' blazing beginning, and there's a straight left hand that lands for Williams, and a sweeping left hand that lands for Williams, and a combination to the body, and Margarito hasn't unlocked the puzzle yet.
Margarito trying to force his way inside to neutralize that reach advantage.
Perfectly well said. It seems as though Margarito's idea here is simply to move forward and try to pressure at all costs. But Williams is succeeding in this round, hitting Margarito as he's coming in and getting off first again with that combination. Now Margarito begins concertedly going to the ribcage to try to slow Williams down.
He's going to have to invest in body punching in the early rounds so that the speed differential isn't as big in the later rounds.
Hard right hand across the top from Margarito.
He throws that jab, Jim, almost like a backhand. It's like a flick, a hard flicking jab.
Bringing it up from the waist, and now he snaps Margarito's head back with a straight left hand. And Margarito wants to answer right away, and answers with a hard right. Margarito bombing to the body with his right hand.
And Margarito smiling, but Williams still punching. good left uppercut, hook, whatever that punch was. He's one of those fighters who can throw punches from all angles, and that creates problems for opponents.
Margarito pressuring forward, but eating leather as he goes. Williams once again throwing in the neighborhood of 100 punches here in the second round. But now Margarito has stepped up his punch count. He's gotten off 80 in this round. Big left hand to the body by Margarito. Williams comes back with a combination upstairs. It's going to be an all-action fight for as long as they can go.
Then cut this, and don't let him out. Have him right in your right hand.
Paul Williams threw 114 punches in round one, threw 106 punches in round two. You can see that Harold Letterman, scoring on video from the East Coast, has given Williams each of the first two rounds. Our Emmanuel Stewart also watching on video from the East Coast. Emmanuel, what do you think of what you've seen from Williams and Margarito so far?
Well, first of all, it's really hard for me to believe that it's only 2 inches in height difference. It looks more like 4 inches in height difference. And Williams is winning the fight because he's just busy. He's taking advantage of his height and actually fighting like a tall guy the way he's handling Margarito. Margarito looks to me exceptionally slow tonight. And Williams is winning the fight by just simply staying busy and keeping him at a distance.
Are you surprised?
You don't know what's going to happen going. But Williams is not punching with power. As Larry pointed out earlier, he's flicking his punches. His punches are not even, gloves are not even closed.
Are you surprised at all, Emmanuel, by the level of relaxation that Williams has shown, even on the walk-in, for his first assignment at this level?
I am somewhat surprised at that, but I'm equally surprised. It seemed like the slow and it seemed like no intensity coming from Margarito. He's fighting so slow and lethargic.
Emmanuel Stewart joining us from the East Coast in Atlantic City, where earlier tonight the fighter that he trains and manages, Kermit Cintron, scored a big second-round knockout of Bout. Now the contact is increasing here in round three.
Now they're at it. Margarito landing his best shots so far. In the body.
All right, stop.
Margarito devotedly going to the body now. You can see his eyes fixed on Williams' waistline.
Well, all he's got to do is look straight ahead, Jim, and he'll be at his waistline.
Left-hand punch that comes up and under, and again it landed for Paul Williams as Margarito basically leaned right into it, trying to get in position to throw a body shot.
You know, for a tall young fighter, he sometimes fights exceptionally well on the inside, Jim.
Big left hand over the top by Williams. Paul Williams still holds the initiative now as we come down the stretch in round number 3. This is the third fight on our welterweight triple header. As we reach the bell, we're going to take you quickly back to Atlantic City for Bob Papa to recap what happened earlier this evening in Cintron Matisse and Gatti versus Gomez. Bob. And we're back in Carson, California for the fourth of the scheduled 12 between Paul Williams and Antonio Margarito. Paul Williams starts out the fourth round trying to throw a big left hand across the top. Harold Letterman scoring at ringside in Atlantic City. Harold, how do you have it so far?
Okay, Jim. 3-0, 30-27, Paul Williams. You know, Jim, if you've ever seen Paul Williams fight before, 32 times he stepped in the ring and he's doing exactly what he's doing tonight. I mean, he holds you off with that right jab. He just throws a million right jabs at you. He comes across with that straight left hand. He throws combinations. He doubles and triples that right jab. You know, and when you get in close, he locks you up just like he's doing here to Margarito. Margarito's going to have to come in with some straight body shots, not wide shots to slow this kid down, or Williams is just going to box him to death. 3-0, Paul Williams.
You know, sometimes you don't see the same fight on television as you see in person, as Harold himself has pointed out. But we can't disagree with him being ringside.
New information from Atlantic City. I'm told that we did access a last-minute interview with Arturo Gatti, and we will hope to show it to you later on. Gatti has something to say about whether his career has any remaining future at this point, and we'll bring that to you, obviously, after the conclusion of this fight in Carson between Williams and Margarito.
As tall and flexible as Williams is, he seems to sometimes just slingshot his punches. I get the picture that he's David and Goliath. David fighting the title holder, Goliath being the bigger man.
Just want to make clear that when we bring you the Arturo Gatti interview before the end of the evening, Gatti will announce his retirement in the interview. Actually, did announce his retirement in the interview. So be sure to stay tuned to hear what you now know, which is that Arturo Gatti announced his retirement in the interview that we're going to bring you. Hard right hand by Antonio Margarito. A grinning Margarito makes clear that he needs to make every punch count against the landslide of punches he's facing still into the fourth round from Paul Williams.
It's almost, his grin is almost like he's saying, take your best shots, kid. Let's see what happens in the second half of the fight.
And now Margarito starts talking trash to Williams, banging away at the body. And Williams, just as relaxed as ever, pops with the jab and moves away. A fourth consecutive round with more than 100 punches thrown for Paul Williams.
There's some more uppercuts going to work, okay? But don't get in there and push with it. Got it.
Here you see Williams landing uppercuts because for whatever reason, everything Margarito's doing is wide, and he leaves a big gap right in the center. And Williams is taking advantage of by landing punches right in between the gloves of Margarito as he's coming in.
Down box numbers in the fourth round. Margarito 12 out of 40. Williams 20 out of 104. So for a guy who in the past has averaged 116 punches thrown per round in fights counted by CompuBox, Margarito has been something entirely different tonight, trying to choose the spaces between the constant flow of punches from Paul Williams. It's Williams who's able to stick with his game plan, stick with his previous routine, throwing in excess of 100 punches per round. Margarito's goal, obviously, to make his punches count more, to do damage, to hurt Williams, particularly to the body. So far, Paul Williams seems to have the edge as we're into the fifth of a scheduled 12.
Here's where he changes up. He moves back, Now he stands right in front of you, giving you different looks. What's interesting to me, Jim, is you would think a tall fighter like this is vulnerable to the body, but even a good fighter like Margarito cannot get there consistently.
Well, some of the time you just have to defend because Paul Williams is throwing. And when you look at that body, there was a time years ago when one of the women who worked for George Peterson and Peterson's amateur boxing organization said to him, "What are you going to do with this kid? He doesn't have a muscle anywhere in his body." Peterson said, "If he'll listen to me, I'll make him a world champion." He's got a chance to win that belt tonight. And he's going after it with gusto. So far, Margarito's face is holding up against the onslaught. You wonder when you're going to see an eye begin to swell or blood from the nose, because Williams is throwing so freely and landing a lot of the time. Now, for the first time in the fight, Williams seems to seek a little bit of a breather as he finds space in the fifth.
Yeah, he has impressive, really adult poise, I want to say, Jim. An intuitive feel about how to change up, back off, come forward.
Hard right hand by Margarito. They tangle their feet in the center of the ring. And referee Lou Moret, I should say, Lou Moret will rule that a slip. Between rounds, we're going to show you highlights of a fast-rising young Hispanic-American heavyweight. Mexican-American heavyweight.
Go. Give me some body work. He can take the headshot, but give me some body. Okay?
I thought Margarito won the last round. Is that the start of the rest of the fight?
Paul Williams still averaging 99 punches per round. He's landed 102 out of 498, counted by CompuBox through the first 5 rounds. Margarito landing 47 out of 202 in that same span. So Margarito has been more than doubled in punch output. And once again, Williams gets off a flurry to start round 6. Right hand across the top by Margarito. Williams taking the punch well and delivering in return.
Clean, break clean.
Most Margarito watchers consider him a much better puncher with the left hand than with the right. If he's got a money punch, it's the left hook. Harder to land against the southpaw stance. Crushing right hand inside, landed to the jaw by Margarito. Williams keeps flowing. Body shot by Margarito, starting to land with more effect. And now Williams puts up the left hand to try to block the right as Margarito continues to sweep it and land upstairs. Good hard left to the body by Margarito. Williams fires back a 4-punch combination. Lands a straight left right on the chin of Antonio Margarito. And another. Margarito taking all of this very well and continuing to throw back.
Both fighters getting hit and fighting back.
Emmanuel Stewart, do you see any change in momentum now at this point with Margarito clearly more determined to fight back?
Yeah, but still, Williams seems to be unraveled. He's being pressured a lot more, but he seems to be very cool. I think Margarito is doing better, but still, that's still not enough. His punches are too wide. He's not shooting any straight right hands at all.
Yeah.
And Paul Williams is just outworking him. Just regardless of what happened, Paul would not let Margarito take control over the fight.
You know, we've talked about Beckham in this facility. The movie based on his celebrity called Bend It Like Beckham. In boxing, it's better to throw it straight like Clemens than bending it like Beckham. And in this fight, Williams is throwing more of the straight punches.
Let him go, both of you, let him go. Suéltelo.
Down the stretch in round number 6. Both fighters have landed meaningful punches in the round. Margarito continually pressing forward, trying to build up more punch output. He's thrown 60 punches in this round. Williams once again approached 100.
Hey, you know, Paul, you can't do that, huh?
Copy CompuBox numbers in the 6th round. Margarito reached his high water level of the fight, landing 17 out of 44. Williams 22 out of 101. Harold Letterman, how'd you score the first 6?
You know, Jim, in round 6, Antonio Margarito really started to pick it up early in the round. But then in the second half of the round, Paul Williams totally outworked him to win that round. I mean, Margarito's not fighting like a guy who's urgent, who feels that he's losing his fight. I mean, he's got to pick up the pace soon. He's got to really start to come in and land some real hard shots to slow this kid down, because Paul Williams is totally outworking him. 6-0, 60-54, Paul Williams.
I have it 5 rounds to 1.
Let him go.
Emmanuel, Margarito's grinning in there as though he thinks he knows something. Does he, or is he grinning through the dark?
Well, he's grinning through the dark, as I'm concerned, because Paul Williams is not going to let him take control over this fight. And I don't think he has the work ethics to punch with enough regularity to slow Williams down. He may have his spots here and there, but Williams is steadily punching, slipping, twisting, turning, and very relaxed. So I think Williams can continue to go the whole fight at this pace.
We've seen Margarito come back in the second half of fights where he's had difficulty early on. Against Daniel Santos in Puerto Rico, he was coming on fast toward the end of the fight, seemingly overtaking Santos on scorecards before the fight was stopped as the result of a cut. And Santos wound up with a razor-thin technical decision.
But even when he's coming on, he's doing everything too slow.
Margarito's right hand drifting there as he tried to reach Williams. Williams able to get away. Fast feet as well as fast hands for the lanky 25-year-old rising star.
Well, you know, Margarito's in trouble when the fans start chanting Mexico, Mexico, trying to urge him on.
They stand and trade.
Neither one seems capable of hurting the other with one punch, so we're getting these vicious exchanges.
Margarito had a momentary chance to land his big left hook and missed it, swinging just over Williams' head. Williams goes back to rocking Margarito with his jab and popping with left hand. Margarito stopping Williams in his track with a hard body shot.
Break.
Good round for Margarito, but still, I don't know if he can maintain this pace. But if he could continue at this pace here, he stands a chance. But the biggest thing is Williams has great stamina himself, which is unusual for a tall fighter like that.
You saw CompuBox numbers, which showed you that Margarito is gradually closing the gap in landed power punches. In the 7th round, Williams landed 28 out of 99, Margarito 23 out of 63. But more of Williams' connects were jabs, and Margarito landed enough power shots that for the first time in the fight, Harold Letterman gives Margarito a round. 8th round begins. There's a small mouse emerging under the right eye of Paul Williams. Margarito trying to rip Williams' body up with every body shot. Hard right hand by Paul Williams inside. Between rounds, Emmanuel Stewart, referee Lou Moret warned Paul Williams to stop holding. I don't think he's been holding all that much. Long-armed fighters often get warned for this.
Don't hold.
Yeah, you know, actually the crowd and the momentum, everything really favors Margarito in this particular fight for the most part. If Margarito could just maintain some power and a little speed, he could still pull this fight out. But he's got to pick up his pace, though. It's hard to do with a guy like Williams, because Williams just outworks you. That's the biggest thing. He's not a big puncher, but he's punching and twisted and contorting his body and punching from all angles. And even if you have a good spot, he's going to come right back again.
Roundhouse right for Margarito momentarily drives Williams back.
Margarito seems to have solves the rhythm of Williams to a degree because he's blocking a lot of his punches.
And he landed a
tremendous right hand right there on Williams.
Yep, that was a big right hand, Emmanuel. And there's another big right hand.
And Williams is fighting a lot closer now. He's fighting very, very close where he's within the range for Margarito. If Margarito could just pick up the speed of his punches, he could catch him because Williams is not using his reach and his distance that much anymore.
Williams clearly is the sharper puncher, but opponents of Margarito have said he has a thudding impact. He hurts you with every punch. And there's Margarito across the top again with the right hand. Margarito might prefer to be doing his damage with the left hook, but in this fight he's going to have to score with the right, and increasingly he does so. Williams has seen more at pains to find room in the ring in the 8th round than at any other time in the fight. Good hard body shot by Margarito. That left hook to the body punctuated the round. Our interpreter tonight in Antonio Margarito's corner is Ray Torres. Emmanuel?
Here you see Margarito get close lane. Right hand, left hook, and as long as he can continue to crowd Paul and punch with shorter punches, he can land them, but the fact is I don't think he can sustain it long enough.
County box numbers in the 8th round. Margarito 21 of 58. Williams 30 out of 104. More and more it becomes a battle between Williams' high volume, the number of punches he's throwing and landing, and the question of whether Margarito can reverse all that with impact, with power.
Maybe this is what Margarito was smiling about in the early rounds, knowing that the speed differential would close as the fight went on.
Big left uppercut by Antonio Margarito. And he lands a straight right hand as Williams let his hands go again. 4-punch combination by Paul Williams. Jab, jab, jab. Coming back, trying to stay active, trying to live up to his trainer's command. And you heard trainer George Peterson between rounds, Emmanuel, saying to Williams, he knows that you're going to stand in front of him and he's got a chance to hit you. But Williams seems to want to fight.
But Williams is fighting at the distance and where he can land punches more effective now than Margarito. And Margarito is really having a problem trying to get inside of the fight now. He's just he's like shut out.
Williams is doing well fighting flat-footed.
Once again, we remind you that after this fight is completed, we will go back to Atlantic City for the interview we secured with Arturo Gatti after Gatti left the ring following his knockout loss to Alfonso Gomez. It's a retirement announcement interview, which we will bring you following the fight. They're fighting in a phone booth in Carson, standing toe-to-toe in the center of the ring.
All these punches landed and very little sign of it on either fighter's face.
Well, I think Margarito is normally a puncher, but his punches are just so slow tonight, and he's walking and getting all off balance, so he's really not getting maximum power in his punches. And Williams, even though he has a great knockout record, I've never considered him a knockout puncher. He just gradually wears guys down because he doesn't have his gloves as tight at the end of his punches. But he's a guy that gets his knockouts back through accumulation of punches.
Incidentally, they're fighting here tonight with 8-ounce gloves. If this fight had taken place in Las Vegas, they'd be wearing 10-ounce gloves. A lot of people were thinking that perhaps one or the other fighter could get knocked out tonight because of these smaller gloves.
A big round, I thought, for Williams.
Come on, hard. Throw in there.
Here you see Paul land a right hook. And in fact, that's probably, I think, been his most effective punch tonight, aside from the left uppercut. Because Margarito doesn't even see the punches coming. And Margarito punches are a little shorter.
9 rounds in the books. We go to the 10th. Harold, how do you have it so far?
Okay, Jim, 7 rounds to 2, 88-83, Paul Williams. Jim, I think Antonio Margarito either needs a knockdown or a knockout to win this fight because there's only 3 rounds to go, and I got Paul Williams 5 points up. Williams, just like Larry Merchant said, in round 9, kept the fight at really the proper distance. Margarito couldn't get inside. Williams peppered him with straight right hands, with right jabs, with that straight left hand, with uppercuts. He won the 9th round handily. He takes a 7 rounds to 2 lead. Paul Williams with a 5-point lead.
I have it 6 rounds to 3, which means that Margarito conceivably could get a draw and retain his title if he won the rest of the rounds.
Round 10 so far, more of the same. Nothing in the first minute of the 10th round to suggest to you that the kid from Aiken, South Carolina is in any danger of slowing down against Tijuana's Antonio Margarito. They clash heads in the center of the ring and just keep fighting. Margarito seems to be slowing down again after 3 rounds in which he was clearly trying to step up the pace and flurry to the body in particular to try to bring some damage to Williams.
Forget the styles, Jim. Let's just enjoy the mayhem. His style now seems to be out of the gym.
Williams, if he wins the fight, is going to have a lot to talk about. Once again, you can't help but focus on the notion of guys who turned Margarito down, big-name fighters who didn't want to fight him. He got a reputation, particularly on boxing websites, as the most avoided man in the sport. Paul Williams spent 2 years saying, I'm going to become his mandatory. I want to fight him. And tonight he's trying to make the most of that chance.
And remember, as we've noted before, Margarito already has a deal to fight Cotto if he wins.
Hard left hand inside by Williams. Right hook by Williams as well. Margarito lands 2 searing straight right hands. A little rally by Antonio Margarito down the stretch of round number 10. What a fight!
Here you see Margarito get in close, land a good right hand, and in fact, that's been his most effective punch that he's landed. Has been those short right hands, and you notice gets in very close, and Williams is not that coordinated, and he lands his little short punches, but he's just not doing enough of it.
CompuBox numbers in round 10, power punches. Margarito opening up, 17 out of 76. Williams, 14 out of 61.
Williams has never been in these championship rounds before. It would be a pretty good idea, being here in California, Margarito country, for Williams to win one of these last 2 rounds if he wants to get the decision.
The judges are from California, Ohio, and California. The crowd is trying to cheer Williams into contention in the fight. Or excuse me, cheer Margarito into contention in the fight. Although certainly Williams has made some fans here tonight with his non-stop style. Emmanuel, do you see Antonio Margarito gaining any ground in his quest here?
Yes, he's landed more clean punches the last 2 rounds than he's landed in the entire fight, for as I can see.
Hard right hand by Margarito.
A lot of short right there, little short punches. He's getting closer and landing right hands continually now.
Big left hand uppercut by Margarito. Williams keeps throwing. Margarito thinks he's done some damage.
That lies the problems for Margarito. Even though he's landing, he cannot take a break, because once he slows down, Williams will continue to go right back to pumping and winning points again.
Margarito has Williams in the deep water that fighters talk about, where he's never been before.
Blood from above the left eye of Paul Williams. Williams is bleeding over his left eye. Margarito is strafing him with power shots inside. Big right hand. Antonio Margarito, another right hand on the cut. Paul Williams fading ever so slightly here in the 11th. Margarito with another straight right hand shot. This has been a huge round for Antonio Margarito now, who desperately needed it.
Remember, Jim, in the interview when Margarito said he would have to win this fight with his will, and that's what he's trying to do right this minute.
But what has happened right there, as soon as he slowed down, Paul Williams is consistently still. Even though he got hit a lot, Paul is still right back taking control again. And that's what's giving him the advantage in consistency.
Fascinating. Though put on the defensive by Margarito, Williams' response isn't to go on the defensive at all, but rather to throw as many jabs as he can to seize the initiative back. Paul Williams fighting in the 11th round for the first time in his career, finds it very tough going. Standing ovation in Carson, California for two fighters who have fought 11 furious rounds. They go to the 12th. If Paul Williams can get off 69 punches in this round, he will have averaged 100 punches per round in the fight. Is it possible to do that and lose? Margarito will hope to make the point.
You heard the instructions from the corner, which Margarito has been doing for the last rounds. Block and counterpunch. Block and counterpunch. But Williams seems highly energized here. Did Margarito punch himself out in the last few rounds?
Emmanuel Stewart, there's a huge cut over the left eye of Paul Williams, but it doesn't seem to bother him for the moment.
No, nothing is going to bother him. He's determined to win this fight, and he's been fighting consistently for the whole 12 rounds. Almost every minute of each round he's been fighting. Even when he would lose in spots, he still continued to fight. And that's what's making it so difficult for Margarito to win, because Margarito only can fight in spots.
Margarito with a giant right-hand shot across the top. Williams takes it and comes back with combinations of his own. What courage the young fighter has shown, Emmanuel.
This is a very, very good fight for Williams right now. He's really made Margarito look like a very ordinary fighter.
If Margarito loses, his date with Miguel Cotto goes down the drain. And now you see the outline of the problem Cotto may be facing toward continued progress in the welterweight division. What if at some point he had to face a showdown with a guy who's 6'1"?
And busy all the time, punching and twisting and turning, but all the time punching.
Jim, if Williams wins this fight, the odds are that Mosley will fight Cotto.
That's right. There's no immediate prospect of a fight between Cotto and Williams. It's just that when you consider Cotto's progress well down the road, at some point it could be the logical step. But now 20 seconds to go here, and Antonio Margarito has not been able to get Paul Williams to wear down.
Give the kid his props. He's come back after 2 hard rounds and has won this last round, and that presumably, but not positively, should cement a title victory.
He put a ribbon on it with a big right hook at the end. Both fighters hold their arms up, but one does so way more convincingly. What a performance by young And now Jimmy Lennon already has the scores. Let's find out who won the fight with Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, the judges are in agreement. We have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Tom Miller, sees the bout 116 to 112. Judges David Mendoza and Marty Salmon both score the bout 115 to 113. All three in favor of the winner and the new WBO welterweight champion of the world, Paul the Punisher Williams.
Paul Williams threw 1,256 punches in 12 rounds against one of the roughest, toughest welterweights alive. And for that, he has a title belt and his biggest victory so far among 33 consecutive wins. Raised in Aiken, South Carolina, trained in Aiken, South Carolina, now lives across the river in Augusta, Georgia. Williams has a giant victory. And for Antonio Margarito, after years of recovering from losses early in his career when he was not managed or promoted as a top fighter, the long drive toward the top is momentarily halted by Williams' victory. CompuBox numbers are spectacular. Williams landing 78 more punches, or making 88 more punches, and throwing nearly 500, or actually more than 500 more punches, 512 more punches, nearly doubling the punch output. Actually, that graphic does not conform to the final numbers. I have final numbers that show Williams throwing 1,256 punches in the fight and averaging more than 100 punches per round, and I believe those numbers are correct because they come from the computer right in front of me. Now let's go to Larry Merchant standing by with the winner, Paul Williams.